Imagine waking up one morning to find a single, forgotten coffee cup on your doorstep. It's just a cup, right? But what if I told you this small, seemingly insignificant moment sparked a ripple that changed an entire neighborhood? Meet Sarah, an ordinary woman with an extraordinary belief. Kindness, even in its smallest form, can transform the world around us. Sarah's story didn't start with a grand plan or a bold declaration. It began with a challenge she never expected. She lived in a neighborhood fragmented by mistrust and silence, where people barely knew their neighbors' names, let alone their struggles. The streets were lined with closed doors, eyes averted, and hearts guarded. Sarah felt the weight of isolation pressing down on her community. But she faced a big obstacle. How do you break down walls built from years of indifference and fear? She knew shouting kindness from the rooftops wouldn't work. Instead, she started small. Every morning, Sarah brewed an extra cup of coffee and left it on a different doorstep, accompanied by a simple note: "You're seen. You matter." At first, people were puzzled, some suspicious. But gradually, curiosity grew. One by one, neighbors began leaving notes of their own, sharing stories, hopes, even apologies. This tiny ritual became a silent conversation weaving through the blocks. But Sarah's journey wasn't smooth. Some mornings the coffee went untouched, the notes unanswered. Doubt crept in like a shadow. Was this really making a difference? The breakthrough came unexpectedly. One chilly evening, a neighbor Sarah barely knew knocked on her door, holding a steaming cup. He said, "I want to join you." What started as a solo effort blossomed into a community movement. Neighbors began organizing small acts, picking up litter, sharing food, offering a listening ear. Each act wasn't grand, but together they created a symphony of care. The streets that once felt cold and unwelcoming now hummed with connection. Children played freely, elders shared stories on benches, and strangers became friends. Sarah's story teaches us that transformation isn't about giant leaps. It's about consistent, small steps fueled by authenticity and patience. So what can you take from Sarah's journey? Start with one small act of kindness today. Leave a note, lend a hand, share a smile. Notice the ripples your actions create. And when doubt whispers, remember, change often begins with a single cup of coffee and a heartfelt message left on a doorstep. But Sarah's impact didn't end there. As weeks turned into months, the neighborhood transformed into a place where people looked out for one another. The local park, once neglected and littered, blossomed with new life as neighbors gathered to plant flowers and trees. Community potlucks became a regular occurrence, bringing together families from diverse backgrounds to share meals and stories. The barriers that once separated them, fear, misunderstanding, indifference, slowly melted away, replaced by trust and genuine connection. Sarah's simple act had ignited a movement that no one could have predicted. Schools got involved, organizing kindness projects where children made cards for the elderly and helped clean communal spaces. Local businesses joined in, offering discounts to customers who performed acts of kindness. Even the police department noticed the change, reporting fewer incidents and greater cooperation from residents. The ripple effect spread beyond the neighborhood, inspiring nearby communities to start their own kindness initiatives. Sarah often reflected on her journey, amazed at how a small gesture could grow into something so profound. She realized that kindness doesn't require grand gestures or heroism. It thrives in everyday moments. The smile shared with a stranger, the door held open, the simple acknowledgement that someone exists and matters. And yet, the path wasn't without challenges. There were times when old habits resurfaced, when neighbors retreated behind their walls, wary of vulnerability. But each time, Sarah and her growing circle of friends met those moments with patience and understanding, reminding everyone that change is a process, not an event. They learned to celebrate small victories and accept setbacks as part of the journey. Through it all, Sarah held on to her belief that everyone has the power to make a difference. Her story invites us to examine our own lives and communities. Where can we plant seeds of kindness? How can we reach out to those who feel isolated or unseen? What small acts might ripple outward, touching lives in ways we can't yet imagine? In a world often overwhelmed by negativity and division, Sarah's story is a beacon of hope. It reminds us that beneath the surface, we all crave connection and compassion. That even in the smallest gestures, there lies the potential to heal and unite. So, as you go about your day, consider this. What if you left a cup of coffee and a note on a neighbor's doorstep? What conversations might it start? What bridges might it build? What stories might unfold? Change begins with a single step, a single act, a single heart willing to reach out. And sometimes, all it takes to change the world is a single cup of coffee and a simple message. You're seen. You matter.